today we are discussing the proposed budget of the Office of the Vice President for 2025, which totals 2.037 billion pesos. This 8.05% increase from the current year's budget is intended to support the continuation and expansion of the OVP's key programs. But before we proceed, Committee Secretary, kindly update us on documents received that are relevant to today's hearing.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The presentation will be in three parts. The first part is ask the Secretariat to please play the audiovisual presentation. Thank you, Secretariat. We proceed to the second part, which is the opening statement for the budget. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum, madayaw, maayong adlaw, kaninyong tanan, magandang araw sa inyo lahat. On June 19, 2022, I swear an oath to faithfully and conscientiously fulfill my duties as the Vice President of the Philippines, preserve and defend its Constitution, execute its laws, do justice to every man, and consecrate myself to the service of the nation. It is then my lawful duty to give aid to any person who reaches out to the OVP seeking relief. I must do justice to every man, and I intend to do so. Historically, the medical and burial assistance programs have always been continuing projects of the institution. The legacy projects that we envision, however, includes a permanent office for future vice presidents, a vice president museum, and for the OVP to have its own charter. Unfortunately, the latter projects may never come to fruition given the political climate surrounding the institution. The programs, activities, and projects of the OVP that are original to my term are those that echo my campaign platform of trabaho, edukasyon, at mapayapang pamumuhay. More importantly, these also embody the nature of constant requests and pleas for assistance that we have been receiving in the OVP, majority of which are the medical and burial assistance, followed by assistance for financial difficulties, livelihood, and support for school-related expenses, as well as immediate aid when calamities strike. Aspiring to provide responsive service even to geographically isolated and disadvantaged communities, the OVP established 10 satellite offices, 2 extension offices, a disaster operations center, and extended programs such as the medical and burial assistance, Libreng Sakay, Kalusugan food trucks, and the Pansarap project, Pagbabago, A Million Learners, and Trees campaign, Magnegosyo Taday, and relief operations for individuals during crisis and emergencies. These programs fall under the banners of peace, poverty alleviation, calamity response, health, education, and environmental stewardship. These form part of the oath I have taken, as these are repeatedly mentioned and provided for in our Constitution. On the matter of OVP projects being similar to the mandate of other government offices, there is certainly no agency that has the monopoly of government services. No office of the government should be so helpless as to deny assistance to a person in distress. After all, the duty of government is to afford our countrymen with faithful public service. Corollary to this is the issue of politics being involved in relation to the national budget and release of financial assistance. We need not go further than the statement of Senator Amy Marcos during the Senate budget hearing, wherein she corroborated our claim and said, "Ang sasabihin ko lang, hindi naman sa barangay lamang napupolitika ang ayuda, pati dito sa mga senador, pati sa ating pangalawang Pangulo." I shall now address the issues that are germane to the use of public funds. It is my belief that it would be a stretch, if not absurd, to compare the budget of my immediate predecessor to the present budget proposal. We do not have personal knowledge as to why she did not request for a fair budget for her projects. On the issue of security personnel, it must be clarified that during the time of my predecessors, the protection team was only limited to the Vice Presidential Security Detachment. During my term, however, there were legal issuances made by the DMD, AFP, PNP, and NAPOLCOM for the creation of the AFP Vice Presidential Security and Protection Group and the PNP Vice Presidential Protection Division. It must also be clarified that the number of security personnel is not determined by the OVP. We are mere recipients of the security personnel detailed to the office. To date, there are no more PNP personnel in the OVP. On the issue of confidential funds, we have received audit actions regarding the confidential funds of the OVP. We have submitted our responses and we assure our full cooperation with the ongoing audit. I am, however, bewildered as to the issues being propagated and the fact that we were able to efficiently utilize funds given to the OVP in December 2022, considering that in the government, usually we disperse millions, if not billions of pesos in a single day. And what makes it even more perplexing is that government agencies are often criticized for low budget utilization rates. For this proposal, as an example, we were even required to explain the low utilization or disbursement rates and present a catch-up plan for such. Turning on the issue of the book I have written, ang libro na pinamagatang Isang Kaibigan ay ginagamit namin sa book donation at book reading or storytelling sessions sa mga paaralang binibisita ko. Isinasagawa namin ito upang mahikayat ang mga bata na mahalin ang pagbabasa at sumulat ng sarili nilang kwento. The inclusion of my name and image on the About the Author page is a common practice for authors and is not intended as a political move. More importantly, the project recipients of the book are elementary students and grade 7 learners. This belies any insinuation of political motives as they will not even be eligible to vote for 2028. Which then brings us to the matter of impeachment. Bilang isang kaibigan, I will not violate the confidence of a few members of the House of Representatives who have either recorded conversations or participated in shared conversations regarding each impeachment proceedings against me. Nonetheless, this is nothing new. Talks of impeachment have been ongoing for several months now. In fact, a member of the lower house has publicly declared in an interview where she was quoted by the Philippine Daily Inquirer saying that in light of the possible numerous violations of the OVP on the use of the 125 million confidential fund, which is not in the 2022 General Appropriations Act, we are not discounting the fact that it may file an impeachment case against the Vice President. Surprisingly, despite the absence of proof as to any wrongdoing, she already revealed the grounds for impeachments when she was also quoted saying as, especially on the misuse of public funds, technical malversation, and violation of the 1987 Constitution. Finally, on the issue of the West Philippine Sea, I stand by the Constitution, which provides that the state shall pursue an independent foreign policy in its relations with other states. The paramount consideration shall be national sovereignty, territorial integrity, national interest, and the right to self-determination. As Filipinos, we are all in agreement that our claim is firmly anchored on the UN Convention on the Law of the Seas and the 2016 Arbitral Award. But we must also bear in mind that bilateral relations are not dictated by a singular issue or concern like a territorial dispute, but rather by a comprehensive approach that considers the broader context of shared interests and regional stability. While silence on specific harassment issues may be perceived as a lack of response, it is essential to recognize that such decisions are made following established mandates and particular responsibilities of relevant agencies. It is well settled that the President is the chief architect of foreign policy. It therefore follows that appropriate agencies are tasked with addressing and implementing measures related to our foreign policy positions and principles. As a reserve officer of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, I sincerely appreciate the sacrifices made by our uniformed personnel in the service of our national interests. However, it is crucial to avoid politicizing their sacrifices for media mileage or social media commentary. Instead, we should focus on ensuring that their efforts are recognized and valued in a manner that respects their contributions and upholds the dignity of their service, which we in the OVP continue to do and have always chosen to do away with the cameras. I shall now proceed to the PowerPoint presentation of the salient points of the OVP budget proposal for fiscal year 2025. May I request the Secretariat for the PowerPoint presentation. We present the key points from our submitted documents in response to the request of the committee. On item number 1, on the highlights and major thrusts of fiscal year 2025 proposed budget of the Office of the Vice President, the fiscal year 2025 of the National Expenditure Program, the Department of Budget and Management has recommended a budget of 2.03 billion vis-a-vis the 3.240 billion proposal of the Office of the Vice President. The amount recommended is 8.05% higher than the fiscal year 2024 budget as appropriated. The 8% increase is lodged in the expansion of the socio-economic programs, medical and burial assistance, and disaster relief. Out of the 2.37 billion budget, 9.25 pertains to the recommended personnel services budget. The recommended personnel services budget for fiscal year 2025 covers 149 filled positions, special duty allowance for military and uniformed personnel, salary for non-permanent positions. It also includes provision for terminal leave benefits of mandatory retirees, loyalty award, and anniversary bonus for OVP personnel. The total personal services, including RLIP for fiscal year 2025 is 188.514 million.